Brillo the Snail. We're in it together, using hope, unity, and joy in the face of trauma to help children cope. This is the first rendering of Brillo the Snail by Iduna and Ashley Abbott Ovcharov. The big question: how can I help kids cope during a time of isolation, pandemic, and uncertainty? The problem: COVID-19 coronavirus has led us to the difficult place where we are all forced into a process similar to grieving, spending isolated weeks away from friends and family. For people, this can throw their mental health into great peril. Children are at even greater risk of feeling destabilized by the immense changes that have come to pass in their day-to-day lives. At-risk youth and kids with challenging family lives have lost their schools as safe havens, where they once had access to socializing and social services. Our support structures are gone, and everyone is turning to connection online, increasing escapism through virtual windows. What is grief? A deep sense of sorrow, pain, and anguish. What does grief look like in children? From author Michelle Tryon, CCLS, expressions have a wide range: angry outbursts, withdrawal, lethargy, zoning out or being easily distracted, irritable and argumentative, sleeping or eating more or less, crying easily, experiencing physical symptoms like stomach or headaches, regressing or acting younger than their current age, clinging to us and seeking constant attention, and shutting us out. Why are kids more likely to be experiencing grief now? From Corey Turner, NPR educational correspondent. Between closed schools, social isolation, food scarcity, and parental unemployment, the coronavirus pandemic has so destabilized kids' support systems that result, counselors say, is genuinely traumatic. What helps kids cope with grief? From Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, making time for laughter and joy when facing grief and loss. It can feel like a struggle to find joy. It may even feel inappropriate or insensitive to have fun after suffering loss. But help your child understand that they can hold more than one feeling at a time. They can feel sadness and happiness. They can feel disappointment and hope. This is a big deal for every child. From Corey Turner, educational correspondent from NPR. I intentionally sought out counselors from big city districts, suburban districts, remote rural districts, plus across the socioeconomic scale in terms of the kids and families they serve. And all of the counselors told me that they were worried about the traumatic effect that this pandemic was having on students. They were, first and foremost, concerned obviously about the kids who were having struggles before all of this happened, the kids who were already food insecure, the kids who already had a pretty fragile support system at home. But it really surprised me that they said, look, we think that this is a big deal for every child. Solution. What is needed now is alleviation from our isolated anguish by something light to lift our spirits. My objective for this artwork is to address the problem through engaging the public by touring a 10-foot tall puppet on wheels in the form of a luminescent gold and rainbow snail named Brillo, the Spanish word for shine, around to visit people under quarantine, children and families in particular, from the safe distance of the street to create a sense of delight and relief from stress related to the pandemic. From Professors Daniel Wojcik of the University of Oregon and Robert Dobler of Indiana University, a way to deal with grief. Grief and celebration seem like strange bedfellows at first glance, but both are emotions that overflow. The ritual practices that surround death and mourning, as rites of passage, help individuals and their communities make sense of loss through a renewed focus on continuity. Rituals make boundaries between life and death, the sacred and the profane, memory and experience permeable. Funerary festivals such as the Day of the Dead create space for this type of contemplation. As we reminisce over our own losses, that is something we could consider. How did this idea come about? My mind turned to how can I spark a little joy in reality during this time when we must maintain social distance to keep ourselves and others safe. Brillo the giant snail puppet is the culmination of four main ideas: Ancient traditions from around the world that are still alive today in many cultures tell of people ornately costumed, performing rituals for warding off sickness and aiding in the process of grieving and mourning. Kukuri from Bulgaria scare off all manner of afflictions with naturalistic costumes. Vejigantes from Puerto Rico and Spain have similar but intensely colored creations. On the left, you see in the snowy hills of Bulgaria the kukuri, and on the right, Vejigantes in parades. Number 2. The Girl and the Sultan's Elephant. I read about the puppets that visited London to create a story about a girl and the Sultan's elephant, massive puppets that one day appeared on the street, and over the course of 4 days they performed a story that brought delight and surprise to tens of thousands of people. Delight had a surprisingly profound effect on people, igniting senses of wonder, surprise, and hopeful excitement that for many had been lost. Here you see the girl embracing the elephant in the middle of a crowd in London. Number 3. Animals emerging. Reports of animals emerging are coming from around the world. Even critically endangered species have been seen as the coronavirus slows down human industry and forces people to vacate streets. Animals are coming out to explore the world anew. Here you see the emergence of animals from London to China to Argentina. Number 4. The Rainbow Window Connection. Created by children in Italy to show their solidarity in fighting the pandemic, kids all over the world are posting drawings and paintings of rainbows with messages of hope and unity in their windows. Many of these are getting mapped online. Neighbors and passers-by who see the rainbows have responded in kind by making their own rainbows and documenting the experience. Here you can see many rainbows bringing many messages of positivity. Stay strong, you can do it, we're in this together, and thank you. The goal. The giant snail puppet is made to fight grief and mental anguish by creating a sense of wonder, joy, and temporary relief from the stresses and frustrations stemming from the quarantine and isolation. Because children are already placing rainbows in their windows, Brillo can connect easily with families and add excitement to their day by creating an unexpected experience of delight. Brillo will follow the map of rainbow windows to visit children here in Albuquerque and potentially beyond. Digital connection through online engagement. Through the website for Brillo, parents can download a children's story written by Diliana Ovcharova, a playwright with a master's degree in Montessori education. The story helps children to contextualize what the virus is and why we are in the quarantine in an accessible and imaginative manner. Creative ideas for art projects and coloring pages are available for download to help unburden parents tasked with additional childcare responsibilities. Information on how to get involved with the Rainbow Connection with links on where to add your rainbow to the map. Events are posted on the website detailing where Brillo will make his next appearance. Outreach to homebound kids through schools, social programs, and teachers is also very important. So, we reach a large range of kids in our community to help spread a message of hope and unity that we are in this together. Here you find coloring pages from BrilloTheSnail.com. Ritual and the Science of Bereavement and Coping. From Brona D. Romanoff, Rituals and the Grieving Process. Cultural and psychotherapeutic rituals are designed to aid the bereaved in grief resolution. Rituals are a vehicle for transformation and connection as well as the more commonly recognized transition. The design. Biomimicry, taking a lesson from forms found in nature. The snail was chosen as the character to base the puppet on due to the fact that it recoils into its home when approached, similar in movement to social distancing. It was also chosen because of the nearly universal fascination that children have with them. The form and the look of the snail was designed based on an endangered group of snails found in small geographic locations in New Mexico, the Chupadera springtail and the Pecos asimania. Mechanisms for lifelike movement. I used a tentacle cable pull to get a snail-like movement for the eyes. This type of mechanism is often used in puppetry and has many applications. Here you see detailed images of Brillo's construction. On the inside of the head, you find scavenged toy parts. The head is made with foam and fabric. On the outside of the head, you find rainbow fabric for the neck and holographic gold spandex for the show. Many challenges arose in the making of Brio the Snail. It was necessary to turn to traditional methods of puppet making, to keep the form light, to keep the tentacles moving with a animated, lifelike manner. His skull is created from aluminum, pool noodles, cable pulls, and various foams, plastics, and fabrics. The base of Brio the Snail is made of wood, and we're still trying to figure out the best way to make it mobile. While Brio has gathered somewhat of a following, and has made a few visits to graduations and to visit kids around town, there is still a problem of his own mobility. The plan for Brio is to become a fully bike-powered snail, who can go very slowly along the neighborhood streets to visit children. Here we have links to Brio's website and various social media platforms. There's also a connection to the Rainbow Quarantine Connection map, to my art website, and the website of my collaborators Vladimir and Daniela Ovcharov. Thanks to all my contributors and collaborators, Vladimir, Daniela, Diliana, Vlado, Iduna, and Mika Ovcharov, and my teachers, Andrea Poli and Amy Piling.